The city worked overtime to get out the allocation cards, which contain information on last year's water usage, how much a 25% reduction is, and how to read the water meters. As the cards were being printed and sent out, Norfolk Utilities Director John Kemper told a news briefing he is delighted with the consumption rate, which fell to 49.1 million gallons after the first day of rationing last week.
Last week was a good week for us as far as water consumption and storage levels and rainfall.
The reduction in consumption and the rain caused the critically drying reservoirs to drop only 0.8% last week, which gives the city enough water for approximately 93 days. But despite the dramatic drop in usage, Kemper says the allocation cards will also include information on what a 50 and 75% water cutback would be, just in case that step is needed. In addition, the city is sending every water consumer a conservation kit with devices and hints to save water. The city will also embark on a $73,000 public relations campaign, driving home the theme, "Not a Drop to Spare." Meantime, other plans to solve the problem seem to be up in the air, as Kemper was tight-lipped concerning Suffolk's threat of legal action if Norfolk goes ahead with plans to drill more wells around the reservoirs in that city.
Can't really comment on that. Now, that's discussions that we're holding internally.
Although everyone in City Hall is delighted with the drop-off in water usage, Kemper says he doesn't want the public to become overconfident, because even with the reduction in consumption and the rain we did have last week, the reservoir levels continue to drop, which means the water crisis is still far from over. Mike Deason, Area 10 Eyewitness News, Norfolk.
The public's got to understand that we're not going to get out of this. It's not going to go away until it rains. So if they don't see a tremendous amount of rain, then they can assume that we're still in a pretty serious situation.
That may be the gloomy reality, but some consumers are not yet convinced City Hall's doing all it can to ease the water problems. Callers are flooding the utilities office with questions about the mechanics of the city's allocation plan.
Okay, that's for the whole house, 49.9 gallons per day. Okay, how many people do you have in your household?
Consumers complain the rules and how to apply them are incomprehensible.
No one can understand just what they mean. What is a baseline? No one can understand when they say save a certain percent of what? They should come out and say use so much and no more. But I think the way they're handling it is confusing to the general public.
Confused and frustrated, many citizens have been saving water all along and don't know where else to conserve. They say some of man's best thinking is done in the bathroom. Well, the bath is also where thought should turn to ways of saving water, since fully 75% of all water used in the household goes down bathroom drains. The city has budgeted about $80,000 for programs to inform the public how to save water. A water conservation display at Military Circle shows consumers devices that can help. A shower fixture that lets you stop the water without readjusting the temperature. Space savers and toilet tanks that let you flush less water down the drain. The goal is to get consumption down to 50 million gallons a day, which Kemper views as a reasonable target.
I don't think it's unrealistic. In fact, I think we can go lower than that. I don't think people really have yet started to really conserve as much as they can conserve. We're still in the educational phase.
Howard Jaffe, Area 10 Eyewitness News.
City officials say a state of emergency is mandatory because the water problem is critical, consumption is not dropping, and there are only 84 days of water left in the rapidly drying reservoirs.
This is a serious situation, for crying out loud. The point is, if we don't drill the wells, there's a pretty good possibility that 600-some thousand people are going to run out of water.
But Norfolk officials say they can alleviate much of the problem by drilling 4 900-foot wells around the depleted reservoirs it owns in Suffolk and Isle of Wight County. However, drilling companies say it will take at least 90 days to get the wells online.
When the 90-day figure is matched up against the 84 days of available supply, I think that our situation is further emphasized.
To further complicate matters, both Suffolk and Isle of Wight County have indicated they will go to court to block Norfolk from drilling wells in their localities because they claim ownership of underground water. But Norfolk is hoping a state of emergency declared by the governor will avoid a lengthy court battle until after the wells are dug and operating.
What we're saying now is we've got to drill the wells. Let's drill them and settle whatever we have to do later.
When asked about the possibility of legal action that might prohibit Norfolk from carrying out its plans, Kemper discounted that, saying we're going to drill those wells because it's the only way the city can guarantee that more than 600,000 people won't run out of water. Mike Deason, Area 10 Eyewitness News, Norfolk. Norfolk City Council was forced to ask the governor for a state of emergency because Norfolk owns the reservoirs in Suffolk and Isle of Wight County, but each locality contends it owns the water underneath the land, and both say they'll go to court to stop Norfolk from drilling 4 900-foot wells. Although Suffolk Mayor George Barnett insists he doesn't want to cause unnecessary hardship to Norfolk, he says he just doesn't believe the situation is all that critical, and he thinks Norfolk has ulterior motives.
Now, I personally feel now that the emergency is not as critical as Norfolk tends to make it sound. They're trying to create a situation, in my opinion, to make the governor feel that we have an emergency so they can do what they have wanted to do for many years, and that's dig wells in Suffolk.
But Norfolk Mayor Vincent Thomas vehemently denies that the city is trying to pull a fast one on the city of Suffolk. And he says there's absolutely no question that the water situation has reached the crisis stage.
There's certainly no question at all. There's no rain in prospect, and if it doesn't rain, we're going to be out of water.
Because there are less than 84 days of water left in the reservoirs, and drilling of the wells will take at least 90 days, Norfolk wants the drilling to start now and have the legal questions settled later. Otherwise, the city says it will be too late. But Suffolk won't buy that.
It's our water, we feel like, and if they want our water, Suffolk will dig wells and sell them the water.
The situation will stay the same until this Thursday, when all parties are drawn together in Richmond for a conference with Governor Dalton. Mike Deason, Area 10 Eyewitness News, Norfolk. Rawls told water officials from around the state what the city of Norfolk already knows. In an emergency situation, water becomes a political football.
Then you have the heat of local passion, the flaming rhetoric of those in public office, and as a result, it's very difficult, almost impossible, for rational answers to emerge.
Norfolk officials at the meeting in Williamsburg and those back in City Hall are still reeling from a comment yesterday by Suffolk Mayor George Barnett that Norfolk is exaggerating the seriousness of the water situation. To say the situation is critical is an understatement. Under normal conditions, I would be standing over my head in water, because when the lake is full, it extends all the way to those trees in the distance, back here to the wall, and then flows over the spillway to the Western Branch Reservoir on the other side. As the reservoirs continue to dry and the water supplies drop to less than 80 days, the focus tomorrow will switch to Richmond, when officials from all localities involved in the current water dispute meet with Governor Dalton to try to come up with a solution. Although Norfolk's utility director, John Kemper, isn't expecting a decision tomorrow, he says it would certainly help the current crisis.
Well, hopefully, from my standpoint, we will have a solution that we can deal with the situation.
Rawls, meantime, says because water knows no boundaries, regional ownership of water supplies is the only acceptable solution. And he warns localities to work out their regional problems, or a solution will eventually be shoved down their throats.
The legislature one day is going to pop up and force a mandatory state control over all of your systems that you do not want, you do not need.
Mike Deason, Area 10 Eyewitness News, Williamsburg.